Hey guys, John here. So what you're looking at on my screen is Cubase, and I've been using Cubase for maybe, I want to say a little bit over a month now, and just kind of getting familiar with the shortcuts and the interface and all that kind of stuff. Now, as much as I love the different things about synthesizers, I also have that same concept or mindset about different DAWs. So for the most part, I would use FL Studio, Pro Tools, and Bitwig to some extent as well. And they all bring different things to the table, and they shine in some places and don't shine in some others. Now, with Pro Tools, I felt, it's a great DAW to record a lot of inputs. Audio editing is great, mixing's great on it. But the creativity side inside Pro Tools, if I'm trying to write a song or use the MIDI editor, which is awful, it's kind of hard to, at least for me, it's not, I don't really feel creative in Pro Tools. It's a good tool to record and track and mix and things like that. And the opposite was kind of also true in FL Studio. Recording in FL wasn't my favorite thing, but as far as working with MIDI or synths or something like that, it's great to use. The piano roll in FL Studio is probably one of my favorites. Maybe I'm used to it. There's just a lot of functionality and a lot of tools to it. Now, using Cubase for maybe about a month, this almost seems like a hybrid of the professional stuff and the reliability from Pro Tools. And then also, I feel creative as I did in FL Studio. So it's kind of like the hybrid or the mix between the two. And there's a couple things that really stuck out to me. Now, a lot of the main tools that we use are right is a good EQ, a good compressor, maybe a good reverb, things like that, or delay. Just kind of these stock plugins, the base stuff that we're always going to need. We're always going to need EQ. We're always going to need compression, dynamic EQs, things like that. Now, what struck me was really cool is I was like, okay, well, what kind of stock stuff does Cubase have? And then, I was looking through the inserts, and I was like, okay, what kind of EQ does this have? And then I stumbled here upon frequency, and taking a look at this, this is actually pretty cool because we have 8 bands here, and for each band we can click this down. By default this is on peak, but we have all these different filters, so we have a super sharp cut right here, which is crazy. And then we also have, like, again, low shelf peak, high shelf notch. And what I thought was really cool, if we're on peaking and we're kind of doing something like this, and maybe we want like a dynamic EQ, I'm like, oh, I need to get a dynamic EQ. And then I looked over here, I'm like, okay, it's dynamic. You can click this here. And then we have the threshold, ratio, attack, and release. I'm like, oh man, this is actually really cool to have something like that. So that kind of won me over in that sense, just how flexible this kind of thing can be. Now, that's kinda just one of the main things. I'm like, this is a solid plugin. Like, I started using it, I'm like, I really actually like like this EQ. I know it's kind of a strange thing to geek out over EQ, but I mean, it's nice, it sounds good, and it worked for exactly what I wanted it to do. And then, for example, as well, it's like, okay, well, what kinda compressors do we have? And then so under here, under dynamics, I'm like, okay, let's check out the compressor. And it's a compressor, just exactly what I need. I don't need any like fancy stuff and this and that. I'm like, it's easy to use. I know what I'm looking at and it works. And yeah, I was like, that's pretty cool. I'm very happy with that. So that's kind of one of the first things I'm like, okay, the stock plugins that it comes with are pretty cool. I still want to mess around with the synths, but yeah, I'll save that for another day. Another thing I really liked as well is the metering. So over here on the right-hand side, we have the meter. I'm like, okay, well, what can we do with this? And I scroll down here, and there's all these different scales there. I'm like, well, I really would like to have a plugin that will show LUFS in there. That would be really nice as well. And then, kind of digging right here, I go under loudness, and I'm like, oh, we can do that right in here. We can have a LUFS meter right inside the DAW. Like, this is actually really cool. I'm like, okay, that's a big check mark for me, just to kind of balance things out, know what level everything is. I'm like, that's actually really cool. So yeah, there was that aspect of it. And then there's the piano roll, which I kind of like how this is set up here, where we have like a small version of the mix console. Then we have the editor here. I still want to mess around with the drum machine at some point. And then we have these chord pads, which I've watched some stuff on, and that looks really cool. So it's kind of almost like a creativity boost inside the DAW itself, which is really cool to have. So yeah, and then we have the modulators, which again, this I really like where they're going with this. I think it can be expanded on quite a bit. So keep going with this one. But yeah, so the editor is really cool, and I like the sense that okay, we have our piano roll, we can put in our notes down, all that kind of stuff. And then we also have the extra tools up here. We have stuff for quantizing, for chord editing, the scale assist, which is a big one. I feel personally that every DAW should have some type of scale assist or some type of way to view a scale or things like that, because it's such a staple tool. And then we can change the root node. We can change the different scales, which is quite a lot to pick from. So I was like, that is a really cool feature in and of itself. And then the toolbar here, how that kind of works, the right click, I kind of got used to that. I'm like, this is pretty nice here in that sense. So I kind of already fell in love with the piano roll itself. I do feel creative. Still got to spend some more time to be a little bit quicker with it, but that's with learning any type of software. And then one of the other things I thought was really cool, we do have the mix console here, but we also have the separate window of this mix console. And spending some time with it, I'm like, this is laid out exactly how I would probably want it to be. So I've made a template, right? I have some Avenger drum kits here, a basic Avenger bass, a lead that kind of just does whatever I want it to do at the time, some drum reverb, some synth reverb, some delay. So I kind of start off with like a base template of what I've done for other DAWs. And then, I just have an instance of repro just in case. It's always kind of nice to have in there. But yeah, so what's kind of cool is like it's all like a mixing console. Like it makes sense in that, I guess, in that sense, right? So we have the stuff for our inserts, which is really cool. We have like a quick EQ. We can do stuff here, and you can expand all these and contract them to make it all nice and organized. We have stuff for the strips, so we can have like a gate here. We can do stuff with the compressor, and you can change the different compressors out, like a tube, a vintage. I'm like, dang, this is all within the channel strip. That's actually really, really cool. We can bypass, turn these on and off, or we can like not load something. We have the EQ. We can check that out and kind of mess around with this guy, which is nice. We have tools here. So we have a built-in de-esser, because that's one thing that is very nice to have if you're working on any type of vocal or dialogue or something, is most of the times you're going to want to reach for a de-esser, and to have that built in here to the strip like that is actually really, really, really cool. So, and it even looks nice as well. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then if that but wait, there's more. And then we have like a saturation menu here, so we can just put on tube saturation just on the channel itself. And then we have stuff with a limiter, and I'm like, geez, man, they've kind of like thought of everything. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then with sends as well, like this Q link was pretty sweet. So I can select one here and then select all these, turn on this Q link, and I can change all these at the same time for how much I'm setting my drums to a drum reverb. So that in itself was kind of cool. There's still so much I have left to discover here. I've mapped all my shortcuts onto my mouse, changed some shortcuts, which is cool as well. I like being able to change things to kind of customize it. Um, yeah, so some of the shortcuts in Pro Tools, for example, that I really like using, or if you're in Keyboard Focus, you can use A and S to kind of trim the top and the ends of regions, and you have that here in Cubase as well. Although I've set stuff to a different shortcut, but I like that feature, having it quick on the mouse. And then for quick zooming, G and H, which is kind of very similar to Pro Tools with R and T to zoom in and out, which is really nice. And then to like change the height of these tracks all at once, to go in, scroll in, stuff like that. And putting things in folders like that. Like there's so many things that I found so far that felt really nice to customize things or to organize things, because that was a big problem for me in FL Studio, where if I was quick to put down a song or something like that, but if I was too fast, then the whole session would look very unorganized, and then I would have to maybe spend some other time to kind of clean it up, because I didn't want to just start cleaning things up while I'm creating something, because you kind of get out of that flow a little bit. So hopefully that kind of makes sense there. But yeah, so there's that, and then there was like I've only looked into it a little bit, but there's like tuning software built into the DAW, which is kind of mind blowing to me as well. So that can be very useful. So yeah, it almost seems like, as an overall kind of conclusion of just like this month so far I've had with Cubase, it's got all the professional tools and audio, I guess, shortcuts or tools that you have in Pro Tools. The stability of like, I feel like I could go take this DAW and multi-track just a lot of things and be comfortable with it. But I also feel creative as I did in FL Studio. So that was kind of cool. It's kind of like bridging those two gaps right there. So yeah, I just want to make a quick video talking about this, because I tried Cubase maybe a couple years ago, but it was like a very short, limited time. And I think it was, man, I want to say 8 or 9, and it was Elements. So I didn't really have a full experience. So now that I've actually spent some time and looking through it, the stuff I've discovered is probably only like 10% of the DAW at this point. And I feel like there's so much more to discover and figure out, and be like, oh my God, this actually does this. No way. So that's kind of cool. I've watched some stuff on I think it was like the arranger tracks, and how you can just create different arrangements and things like that. It kind of blows my mind how many features and how many things are now in this type of program. So yeah, I also like up here at the top, you can just change things. Like you can click a region and then transpose it that fast. Like that's kind of crazy to me as well. And yeah, so that's just one thing to think about. If you're a Cubase user, please let me know if there's any cool things that you like using Cubase, any workflows or stuff like that. Get me up to speed a little bit because this is a pretty cool piece of software. So yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one.